Okay, good morning, everybody. It's Peter here from AJS, and it gives me great delight to also represent our sister business in New Zealand, G&A Wurburtons. And speaking of New Zealand, today we're going to a jeweller's workshop somewhere in New Zealand, and it's indeed to sunny Auckland and the even sunnier Maca Bernal. Welcome, Maca.
Thank you, Peter. How's everyone?
Everyone's cool, I'm sure. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Not a lot of sun here. It was 9 degrees the last time I checked the temperature, so we're all rugged up in the workshop. The heater's behind me.
Yeah, and I can see the sun shining in your room there, so...
The fake sun.
Now, Maca, today we're going to be demonstrating how to use a jump ring maker. Would you like to explain a bit about what we're going to get up to?
Yes, we are. One of the things that gets a lot of people when they're beginning their jewelry making endeavors is making jump rings, and not just making one or two jump rings, because I think anyone can make a pretty good jump ring just by coiling up some thin wire with some round nose pliers. But the trick here and where the machine jumps in is when we want to make several jump rings that are all consistent in shape and size, because that's the tricky part, is consistency. This is, for example, when people want to make chain or just multiple jump rings for a specific use. A bracelet like that, you want all your links to be consistent. This is where this machine is excellent.
Okay, so this is the said machine?
We are talking about the Pepper Tools JM2 or Jump Ring Maker 2. This is the second iteration. Obviously, you can purchase this machine and all of its accessories in any of the shops that you mentioned before. I got mine here from Wurburtons, and it has been a game changer, that's for sure.
Oh, that's great. So what are some of the tricks we're going to get up to then, Maca?
Well, let me show this machine first.
Okay.
It's got the winding part.
Yeah.
And it also has about 20 different caliber rods, right? These are like the dowels, if you may.
Okay.
We can make jump rings out of with pretty much anything. People wind them on the back of paintbrushes, any shape of rod like this. You could even have a bit of a oval one or a different shape one. It doesn't really matter that you don't have this tool, I must admit. There's other ways of producing jump rings before this tool came to me. But I tell you what, it makes life a lot easier.
So time and consistency, would they be the two things?
Time, yes, very important. You can make, 20, 30 jump rings in a jiffy. But not only that, it's consistency. I think consistency here is the key. When you look at machine-made chain, it's so even, it's so pleasing, it's so perfect.
Yeah.
And handmade chain, on the contrary, will have that kind of mark of the maker, 100%. It's not 100% perfect. It will have a little bit of discrepancies here and there, and that's the beauty of handmade. So there's a thin line between getting your jump rings incredibly even, like it looks machine-made, or you can just leave a little bit of that grunge, that mark of the maker behind, and certify that your product is 100% handmade.
That's right. It's a bit similar to doing a painting and painting it so close to a photograph that it's like a photograph. So
yeah. I mean, you want to show skills, that's for sure. And this is where this machine helps you, because our human hand is not 100% straight. We have obviously a little bit of error just inbuilt in our skin and the way we operate. And that's where the machine takes over and you can get a little bit more consistency. So if you are one of those makers that really thrive for perfection or for consistency and evenness in your design, this is going to be one of your machines.
Yeah. Well, as you say, I think it's inconsistencies that can show up and just maybe take away a little.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Absolutely, definitely. That's why in this little demo, I intend to show you how to cut these jump rings on your own by hand with just the saw, or you can use the cutter that is in this as part of this machine, which is it's a very complex system. Once you've set it up, it's easy to use, but it's so fast. Oof, it's so much faster.
Okay. Rightio. What are we going to do first, eh?
Right, we are working with 0.8 wire, which is just the wire I have. Mm-hmm. This is sterling silver, but you could be working with gold, you could be working with copper, you know, you could be working with pretty much anything. Soft metals, noble metals, that is. Let's start by winding. So what we want to end up with is this type of coil. And I have selected here, let me put my glasses on, I have selected 5 millimeter internal diameter. So all of the different rods are going to have a different internal diameter.
Yep.
So don't get it mixed up. It's not the external diameter, it's the internal diameter.
Okay.
There's a difference there, right? If you want small jump rings, teeny tiny ones, you can get all the way down to, what's this? It's so small, it doesn't even say how small it is. They didn't have enough room to, but it's 2 mil. Very teeny tiny ones. And those could be really useful for earring connections, for little jump rings that you've got to make on your clasps, at the end of clasps. They're very, very small, and a lot of times buying them is easier, but it's a lot more expensive. So this is a really good way to save you money in your production. If you need consistency of the same gauge jump ring for, I don't know, 20 pendants that you're making, you'll make the 20 the 20 jump rings here in, I don't know, in an hour, instead of having to go and get online and buy them and then wait for the courier to arrive. Yeah. It's better.
Yeah, Michael, we've got a few people online at the moment, so I'd like to welcome them. And if you'd like to say g'day and just let us know where you're from, that'd be lovely.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for joining in, everyone. And if you have any questions along the way, please
just write them in the chat on the Facebook page, and
we'll then Peter, you will interrupt at any time you want with questions, eh?
Yes, indeed.
Thank you. Let's get to it.
Okay.
Wire. Any wire. Just make sure it's soft. Make sure either you've annealed it or you've bought it soft, because if it isn't, then it'll be spring-loaded and this will be a little bit harder. Mm-hmm. Nothing that can't be remedied, just annealing it out. So there's a little hole on each one of these rods. You can see it right there.
Okay.
And that is where you're going to lock your wire in. Mine is already, the 2 millimeter, the 5 millimeter one that I'm using is already in its position, and I'm just going to thread the wire through a little bit. Just a little bit is coming out, about, I don't know, 10 mil. You can, if you want to, if you don't have a lot of wire, leave it really, really nice and tight. Don't let a lot of wire come to the other end. And let me see, maybe this position is better. I'm going to wear on my finger here one of these leather protectors. I don't know if you've seen them around the shop there. They're just this contraption, like a one finger glove.
Okay. You should draw a little face on it, Maca.
I should, shouldn't I? It's a little puppet.
Yeah.
It's very good to save yourself from getting scratched by the end of the wire. If you don't have anything like this, just hold it with something that there's a teeny tiny risk here of getting scratched. So your wire goes in through the hole, and it's my finger with the leather bit that is going to help me keep it all in place whilst I wind it. Hold it in place. and start winding. I'm not sure if you guys can see if I'm getting this close enough. I might have to take this off for a second. It limits my dexterity.
Yeah.
There you go. I am winding. Ideally, and it's something that I haven't been able to do today because for the love of God, I can't find any of my vices that actually fit in this really thick table. But ideally, you pin that down. It does have some holes for you to drill through and put some really nice attachments down, but I haven't done that because I always use it in different places. That's the truth.
Just be careful of that wire too, Maca.
It's wanting to attack me.
Yeah, lucky you got your glasses on. But,
You can see that with the help of the leather, I'm being able to hold down, and as I wind it, I'm guiding the metal.
Yeah.
So keep it nice and tight. That's the key. Don't let the loops create a little gap in between. Tighten them all together nicely. You can see this one, how tight it is.
Right. Very good.
So that is, in a nutshell, how to use this. Now, if you can see what I'm doing now, I'm just winding this wheel, and I'll get a little coil at the end. You could be doing this with your hand drill. You could be doing this with your flexi shaft. You could just be manually winding some wire around a dowel, a wooden dowel, or in this case, a steel rod type dowel. There's many ways to make jump rings. This machine just makes it easier. Whoop. I got tangled because I wasn't watching. Right. Keep winding. Couple more.
So ideally you have that mounted to your bench, is it right?
Ideally you've got this pinned down so it doesn't wobble. But there you go. I'm now going to show you how to release that. They're all attached, and because the first one really was coiled in.
Yep.
You can see it goes through. With my cutters, I'm going to cut right there on the top and release them.
Beautiful.
So this is what you're going to end up with.
Yeah.
And everybody knows that these are really difficult to cut by hand. That's why Pepper Tools has brought up this new idea of how to cut them very straight and very evenly, a little bit more consistent. Let's pretend we're making a chain. In the end, we're going to have to solder each one of these together and right next to the next one and the next one and the next one. So ideally, the cuts are very, very nice and straight, or it just gives us more work in the end. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to show you guys how to cut these by hand. And once I've cut it by hand and I've demonstrated the level of difficulty of that, I'll show you how easy it is with the pepper tool. This is a really good pro tip, bit of masking tape. Just a little bit of masking tape to hold the jump rings together. Like that.
Okay.
This is really, really good tip that I think some of my students really appreciate. Holding this closely when it doesn't have a masking tape, it's really easy to just move the coil around with your thumbs with your thumb and your index, because you really need to put a lot of pressure on this in order to cut it. Your good old saw, bit of lubrication, because why not? And maybe I will. That's better to show you this cut here. I think my masking tape, yeah. There we go. This is better. Anyone can see.
Yep,
I'm just holding it sandwiched in between the masking tape. And I'm going to hold it really firmly down here on my cutting peg. And this is the job, is gently cutting one by one these little jump rings. I'm going to do my best to try and get them as even as possible. But even starting the blade here is just really difficult. There you go. You can hear it. You can see it. I'm cutting the jump rings. My fingers are out of the way of the cutting line.
Thank heavens.
So I'm trying to be really careful here. And in one cut, I have just cut through about 24 jump rings. A couple of them got stuck. But here they are, still attached to the masking tape with one line of cut along one side.
Okay.
And what you have in the end is a whole lot of little jump rings.
Beautiful. So that's cutting the hard way.
This is cutting that. Did I make it look too easy? That's my bad. But yeah, anyone that has been here understands how difficult it can be to cut one straight line through 24 jump rings. Or I don't know how many I made here, but they're pretty consistent. And more importantly, even more important than consistency, because sometimes we can work through that, is the fact of that they align really well. So when you're going to solder them, you open it up a little bit, and then whatever you're going to put through it, you put through it, and then you close it up just like you open them. The alignment is very, very good. Right there. So I can straight up solder this. I don't have to file it, I don't have to clean it, I don't have to rim it, I don't have to do anything to it. Straight solder. And just to be extra, I want to show you that there's a couple of little guys still attached to my saw. They just went through. You just have to release them. Beautiful. So just like that, I made all these jump rings.
Magnificent.
Which would have costed you a small fortune to buy. Right, so the next step is to show you how to cut these with the cutter that Pepper Tools has invented for us.
So you indicated it was a little bit complicated. Is that just to set it up, or?
Well, I guess if you already have it set up like I have just now, it's a little bit easier. But still, every single time you change your size of jump ring, you make a new coil, you're going to have to adapt and change the machine. The same happens to the cutter. So this cutter just goes my flexi shaft. This is my flexi shaft.
Yep.
And it's not the new or the automatic release. It's not that one. It's the old school one, the one that the handle that comes with the flexi shaft, right? What's that called when it's the one that the original one, or the
Yeah, I'm not sure
what to say. The one that comes with the flexi shaft. Then you can buy a new automatic release flexi shaft, which everybody knows are super cool and they're really nice to use. But in order to use this cutter that comes with the Pepper Tool JM2, you have to have the old one, the traditional one.
Okay.
And this is the blade in here. I can show pushing on the foot pedal how it rotates.
Yep, that's a good view.
So do not put your finger in there.
Especially live on Facebook.
Expressly, yes. Kids, don't do this at home. Do not touch blade. whilst rotating. Right. So we put this guy away. I think this is what I love about tools. I mean, have a look how neat and tidy this is. It's got everything. There's a little groove for everything, and you just put everything away. It just fits. I love it. Fabulous.
Beautiful. Helps you stay organized.
Which is very important in this workshop because, as you can see, everything is in a state of mess, constant state of creative mess, which we love. Right. How to use this contraption.
Okay.
One of the biggest risks when cutting small things in general, jump rings is what brings us here, but it could be anything else very, very small, is cutting through your own skin. I get lots of accidents at the school where I work. There's lots of people with very, very small minor cuts, and every once in a while, a little bit of a bigger one. I always say the same about these blades. They are designed to cut through metal, so they will cut through your skin and bones like it's butter. The key is not to have your fingers in the way of the cut, in the line of the cut. If your fingers are even a millimeter away, you should be fine. You should trust your hands. You should learn and upskill and try to prevent those kinds of accidents. In the meantime, if anyone has already had a pretty bad cut and they're a bit sore, there's something that happens with these cuts that it's almost like your body has a bit of memory, and from then on, your finger's like a little bit shy and it keeps on pulling back and it doesn't want to hold your metal because it knows it could get cut again. So in order to prevent that, there's all sorts of little accessories that will help you with that. We're talking about this little leather finger. There are little plastic ones. There's that Gorilla tape. But I tell you what, any tape that you can get your hands on, and I'm talking about, for example, the kind of tape that you get at the physiotherapist.
Yeah.
Just tape your fingers. Tape them like Michael Jackson. Next thing you know, you won't only just look cool, but yeah, your fingers will be a little bit safer, and you won't feel as, you won't feel as nervous.
Yeah.
So let's get into this. The coil we're going to place in here. It's just sitting flush against the marker.
So does anything have to change depending on the diameter of the coil?
This is what needs to be done. You need to press it and tighten it. So we're talking about soft metal, so don't over tighten it, just as much as you need to. If you're having to press really, really hard, to turn really hard, you're doing it too hard. Your metal in there is soft. As long as it's squished down right there, it's good. So next step, this is my cutter. And all I have to do really is follow the groove, because the groove fits in the groove.
Okay, yep. And that'll
all you've got to do, say again, Peter?
Oh, that'll be right in the center of that groove, that blade.
In the center.
Yeah.
So your line of cut is just super, super precise.
Yeah.
If you haven't yet deciphered how to hold those jump rings with your thumb and your index in order to cut the straight line, this is going to really save you. Now, in a lot of the videos that you will see about this tool in particular, one of the most important things is to lock it in place, to use some sort of vise on your table to lock it in place. I tend to disagree with that because I want the flexibility of this. I want to be able to hold it and maneuver it in my hand. Now, I totally get how that could be a little bit risky, but here I am. Something else that's important is to use the lubricant that comes with the machine, either on the blade or straight onto the jump rings, because we are asking a lot from this metal. So a little bit of lubrication is never a bad idea. We are going to place the cutter, and everything fits in place really, really well.
Yeah.
Let me see how I can show this better. Might have to cross like this. That's better, isn't it? Even though I've got the cable up in my face, everyone can see what I'm doing. So the key to this cut is to do it slowly. If you're going too fast, you're going to make a mess. That is the key. And now with my foot, I'm activating the pedal slowly. And I'm moving it towards me. Can you hear it?
We can.
Ta-da!
Got him?
Got him. And I'm opening that up, and I have got a whole lot of little jumper.
So you could do quite a few in one go there, couldn't you?
I did all of these.
Yeah, but there's the capacity to do a lot more than that, isn't there?
Oh, if you have a coil, this is the other half of what I cut.
Yeah.
If you have a coil, you can see how it sits in here. This is your limit, where my finger is. That line?
Right, I got it.
So your coil could have been all the way up to here. You could have done 3, 4, 5 times this.
Yeah.
I just didn't have enough wire.
So, Maca, you know how there's adjustment on the height. Is there adjustment on the width?
There isn't. What there is, it's another coil. This one.
Yeah.
It just fits in that groove.
Okay.
So if your coils were wider, they would just fit in there. If they were smaller, what matters is that they get squished down by this, and you can see there's little springs on each side. So if your coil was any bigger, it would sandwich it really well.
Yeah, okay.
What matters is that it's held in place by the top plate and the holders. Why not? Where's the other one? Here. So let's perform this cut again. This is what I was talking about. I think I like to use it like this. Doing it slower this time. Go back a little bit. Make sure that you perform the cut evenly everywhere. Undo. And here they are. It didn't quite go through this time. I like the other one better. The first one was way better.
Didn't it go all the way through the middle?
I didn't get it through. I have to separate them now.
Uh-huh.
But that's all right. I can do that by hand. See? 1, 2. No. Too tricky. We'll stick to these. These came out really nice.
Put that one down to experience. So what was the failure there? What didn't you do?
It's probably me holding it on my hand instead of flat on the disc.
Yeah, I think that would have been better, yeah.
But there you go. Consistent 5 millimeters of internal diameter, 0.8 gauge or thickness of the wire.
Mhm.
And that there could make a really nice chain, or it could be just equal jump rings for a specific production pair of earrings that you're making. Made a whole lot easier than one by one winding them up. Now,
Indeed.
something else that a lot of people always want me to demonstrate is how to open jump rings. You've just made yourself a really fabulous, even looking jump ring.
And you want to keep it
Why
that way.
would you deform it?
Yeah.
Why would you do that? It's very easy to undo what we've just done. So we've just made fabulous equivalent or consistent jump rings. It's really easy to mishandle them incorrectly, and then next thing you know, you have to work a whole lot more on them. Take a look at this. 2 parallel pliers. The cut is right up here. 2 parallel pliers, and you're going to twist open. Right? So the twist is against each other, either towards you or against you, but all you do is you open the jump ring in a way that you can put the other one in, or whatever else you're working with. Let's pretend it's a chain, so we're just going to put 2 through. And then the next movement is the complete opposite of what you've done before, which is just to close it up. That way, we haven't messed with the circumference. And all the jump rings are as even as they were when we first manufactured them.
Yep.
Now, it doesn't look like a handmade, it doesn't look like a machine-made chain. It looks like a handmade chain. It's got imperfections. Perfection, I know some people really want to have perfect results, but in the end, a little bit of the mark of the maker is very important when it comes to handmade jewelry. If your pieces are not looking handmade, then you really cannot charge for handmade, can you? A perfectly consistent little 5mm jump ring chain, ready to be soldered, if you may.
Beautiful. Is there any
Did
other?
I make that look easy? I hope so.
You did. And you even showed us what not to do.
What not to do, yes, because
Yeah.
when you get something like this, I didn't put enough pressure on it, I think. My beautiful coil that I started with is now all warped and out of shape. I've got to work on these. To rescue them, I have to work on these one at a time.
Now, is there anything else we need to know about that machine then?
About the paper tools, that it's fabulous, that I love it, that I need to use it a little bit more, because you know what else I would like to use it for that I haven't just yet is big links, such as those. Something a little bit bigger, a little bit bushier. I know how to make these by hand, but it's really difficult to get them consistent, specifically if you're working with gold and the lower carat golds, 9, 11, 10 carat gold. It is a really hard metal, so the winding part becomes really tight. You can get it really nice and tight with the help of this.
Okie doke. Yeah. Oh, that's great, Maca. Thank you for sharing that this morning. I hope our viewers got something out of that.
Is there any questions in the chat?
There's been no questions so far.
Or if anyone wants to ask a question about anything that I have done, demonstrated today, by all means, leave a comment on the video and I will just pick it up whenever I can.
Yeah, indeed. Well, we'll wrap it up there. So thank you, Maca. Great to see you back, and we'll see everyone else again very soon.
Most welcome. Thank you, everyone.